Hey, everybody, it's Dave here, live at the 2-minute warning. What a game we have here. We just got a sack. Yes. And, of course, Jones is complaining about face mask. Well, screw them. That's what we have. That is what it is. We'll go from there. All right, we're at the 2-minute warning. Time for the roll-in. Welcome to Vikings First and SKOLs, live at the 2-minute warning. Next. All right. We are here. We are 2-minute warning. I need to switch screens real quick. Back to the single. I'm Dave Stefano, founder, executive producer of Vikings First and SKOL. If I can get my hat right, we'd be all right. All right, we are another game, hopefully another win away from setting this up. Has this been the game we've wanted to see? Ha! I called for 2 full score victory. No, it hasn't. Jose, welcome to the show. And Darnold has been garbage juice. He has definitely been off target. Needs to get his prescription checked. Something is way wrong. Hey, Chuck, SKOL, everyone. Chris, I want to get Chris in here. Where to go? Scroll. Florida football at its finest. Yes, buddy. Welcome to the show, everybody. Hey, George, good to see you. You're in Chico watching my son in Division II soccer playoffs. Hey, we wish him well. Hope he does great and scores tons or saves tons if he's the goalie. And here we go. Where's Dave S? And thanks for your service, Dave. Well, I appreciate it, buddy. And it is Veterans Day tomorrow, the 11th November, and it was the 11th hour, the 11th minute that the armistice of World War I was signed. And after that, it was dedicated to all veterans that have served. And we appreciate that. Hey, Biggs, how you doing? Duncan, welcome to the show. We are live, and we're ready to come out of the 2-minute warning. Now, I am streaming via YouTube, so I'm slightly behind anybody that's watching live, but I will try to respect that, but I'll try to give you a little play-by-play as we go. Now, this game has been one that I've tried to woo-saw throughout the day because of the play of Sam Darnold in particular, and Jones throws up, intercepted once again, this time by Cam Bynum. In the end zone, Vikings ball. Yes, that is good. Chuck has us all making the Jerry Bird Schneckner press conference part 2. Hey, it could have been, very could have been. Duncan says, what a blunderbuss. KOC arg. There's been some questioning on KOC today. I fully agree, but there's also been some execution issues. Jose, your brother Isaiah, needs to come back. George says yes. I have no idea where Mac Jones was throwing to there other than Cam Bynum. Don't tell me they're going to mark it down at the 1 because his knee went down. I thought if the momentum carried you into the end zone, it'd be back at the 20. We'll find out as they come out of the commercial. Cam Bynum with another one. That's good for Cam. Happy for him. Forlorn hope. Cheers, buddy. I started drinking at halftime. This game was driving me nuts. And why a big cup? Because it's about that much vodka and about the rest in tonic. Chevy Chase, welcome to the show, my friend, and SKOL. All right, there sounds to be a flag. What the hell? KOC's grinning at their line judge going, what the fuck? Pardon my language, my French. I hope it's good for Quebec. Darren Campbell will be joining us, and he was telling me about how Quebec is Quebec. And I know from experience being in Afghanistan, serving with Canadians, they love their independence. So, and they have a special love for Quebec. Yeah, his knee was down at the 1, but where was the ball? All right. And got to send the link to Sally. She's going to join. I thought I sent her the link. I did not. Here we go. Here we go. All right. Booth review. Dun, dun, dun. Not that they've been real good today. Holy crap. Chevy Chase, I'm with you. Fire up the pipe. Hey, that would be nice. And we have our first contributor coming in. I'll go to 2 screens and bring her in. That tells you who it is, because it isn't one of the guys. It's Sal Spice. How you doing, Sal?
Hi. Good. How are you?
Oh, I'm in the process of getting lit, thanks to this game.
Oh, hell yeah. Yes, I'm going to move to my room in a minute, but wow, what a game.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy. Chuck says, zebras are terrible today, and yes, they are.
They are absolutely terrible.
We have Q Shauna says, SKOL. Welcome to the show, Q Shauna.
Hey, girl.
You know her. Good.
No, I don't, but I'm trying to get to know her.
That sounds good. Chevy says hello. Mary says, not over yet. 2nd and 9. Final timeout by the Jags.
How is there still almost 2 minutes left?
Well, it is what it is. This is a Vikings game. Of course they're going to rip at us, tear our souls, make it tough.
I don't know. I don't know. It's been a while.
Q Shauna, welcome to the show once again. Chevy Chase, each of the last 4 games, the refs have went against the Vikings. Yes, they have. And we have a run attempt that get all of 1 yard, maybe 2, by Aaron Jones this time. Mary says, not as terrible as we were. Christopher Dawson, looks like Big 12 refs. Christopher, I don't watch that much college football, but I'll take your word for it. Chevy, I love my Vikings. I have less hair today. However, buddy, trust me, I know.
How much time do you have on your TV? I think I'm behind.
I've got 1:10, counting down.
Oh, wow. Okay, I'm at 1:30.
Okay.
Shoot.
Yeah, and you should be getting it live.
I know.
What do you stream with, or what do you get your TV service with?
YouTube TV.
Okay, that's what I'm on.
I wonder if I'm on the local Minnesota Fox channel, though, or if I'm on,
it also
whatever.
It also depends on your operating system on your TV. If I go through Amazon, it's faster than if I go through Apple TV or our Roku TV.
I'm on
it's
Roku.
Way ahead. Okay. And just a hint.
Is it still 3rd and 7 for you?
Yes, 3rd and 7, minute 4. Counting down on the play clock. Hand off to Jones. He busts up off the left guard for just 1 yard shy of the first down. All right. Jason Winger says 102. I'm showing 52 seconds left with a flag. What's the flag for? Hopefully something on the Jags.
I still got 104. Yeah, I just saw Jones's run. I'm way behind.
Chevy Chase, he's old-fashioned, loves his rabbit. Chevy, I love the DirecTV over the air because that's the least amount of delay. It's only the 5-second demanded by the FCC to catch any foul language. Any other streaming or service device, DirecTV, whatever, cable, will be behind that. We have a flag on the defense. Could you please turn down the volume on your show so we don't get a copyright strike?
Yes, sorry.
Thank you. Sam being Sam I am, absolutely. Oh, personal foul. Ooh, yes. Mr. Walker. Mary says, first down, ugly win. Jason Winger says, thanks everyone who served and the current members. Absolutely. That's what tomorrow's holiday is about. It's about Veterans Day, those that have served. And the Sam Darnold kneeled down in the first snap of the victory formation.
Oh,
there's
all right, we're victory formation?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
40 seconds left, clicking down. KOC just handed off his headset. We got one more snap. Chuck Lewitt says, game is bonkers because Sanchez man bun. Yeah, I noticed that at the beginning too. Christopher Thompson, that's how the game is? Wow. Chevy, thanks, buddy. And thanks, Jose. Appreciate it very much. Hey, what do I love saying? Vikings win, Vikings win, Vikings win. Your final score is 12-7. The game has concluded. Your Minnesota Vikings now get one more victory and go to, what is it? 7-2 on the season, cementing themselves tied for second in the NFC. Jason, now going to your deer stand. Hey, good luck, buddy. Very much good luck. There's nothing quite like fresh venison. That I agree with. I miss that. I miss the ability to do that anymore. So, Chevy Chase, it wasn't pretty. And as Drew Bunting of Vikings Report always says, hey, you get, what is it? A win's a win. And if it's ugly, can't hang it off the ass of a cow or some shit like that. Hey, it works. Thank you, Mary. Yes, and appreciate all veterans on this day and tomorrow. Always remember us and keep us in your thoughts and prayers. Veterans suffer. They've been through a lot, and they've suffered for years, not just on the battlefield, but off the battlefield as well. And it's something we want to care about very, very much. They are willing to step up and put their lives on the line for this country, and we are very much grateful for it. All right.
Yes, we are.
All right, Sal. What did you think? What was your overall impressions?
Oh my gosh. Well, we talked about this earlier this week that I thought it was going to be the highest scoring game that they were going to have this season. It's going to be dominant. The Jags had only had 2 interceptions all year, 5 takeaways total. I thought this was just going to be a statement game for them. And wow, we couldn't have been more wrong about that.
Yes, we couldn't. Hey, on your show, I even predicted a 2 full score win. Boy, did I blow that. That's why I normally don't do predictions. It is what it is. Mary, what do you mean by 59 years? Are you kidding me? No touchdowns, believable? I think we've won a game with nothing but field goals before, but I tried looking it up and I couldn't find it. If anybody's
Raiders game last year, 3-0.
Okay, but I'm thinking something more than that, where it's like 15-7 or something that we won. Something keys my memory. But wow. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking it'll be the most dominant offensive performance they've had. I think I said even they might break 40 points. That was my wish, obviously. I didn't think that was realistic, but I thought 30s for sure. Wow. Oh, hi, Darren.
Hi, Sal.
How
There's
are
probably
you?
somebody in the chat here who's happy you're here.
Yes.
Who would that be?
I don't know. Some guy early in our show yesterday said, I'm only here for Sal. And I get on here and there's two ugly guys I'm watching. So
Yeah.
something.
No way.
Yeah. And we dropped 5 subscribers because of it.
You're kidding me.
No, I'm not.
All right. Well, that's not nice, whoever that was.
Yeah. Well, it just means we need more Sal.
Well, here I am.
You're gonna
I don't know how much time I
three
have
old
because,
bloggers now?
like, what?
Maybe we need to go to 3 old bloggers. No, 2 old bloggers and 1 young vlogger or something. I don't know.
I mean, I am getting up there. It's true. I am getting up
Oh,
there.
you're not
Dave,
that. Trust me.
Dave, I can't wait for you to ask me what did I think of the game, because I have some thoughts.
All right.
Well, we are going to ask that. I just want to preface this, though. If I have to dip out all of a sudden, it's because my landlord got here to fix my water heater. So just letting you know.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, Darren, let's hear it. Let's hear it.
What did you think of the game, Darren?
Well, first off, this officiating crew needs to be investigated. They were horrible. They needed like an expedited review on almost every other call to get it right. And what the hell are those 2 officials, the lead guy, watching on that last play? Trayvon Walker is going in there, laying haymakers on Jones. I know he's trying to poke the ball out, but he's throwing punches. And then the play is over and he's still throwing punches, slamming it down, and you got the head guy, Hill, and another guy watching it, and they don't do anything. Nothing. That's clear 15 yard. I know they don't want to decide the game on a penalty call, but that was clearly roughing. And then only after I think Walker said something to the ref, then they throw the fucking flag. Like, that just... And then that face mask on Jones, and maybe I'm wrong here, but it seemed to me they didn't actually throw it until late after Jones is going like this. So if you don't see it, you can't call it. And then when they see the roughing and Walker going to town on Jones, they don't call it until Walker says something like, fuck you, refs, or something, whatever the hell he said. And then they call it. So that was the worst officiated game I've seen. They did not have control of the game, it seemed to me. They didn't know what up was down was up. The replay, it wasn't their call, but I don't know what New York saw on that second interception. That ball hit the ground, and it wasn't in clear control, and they don't reverse it. They let the call stand. So that's my main thought on it. And the score of this game, the 2 people directly responsible for that are Sam Darnold and Mac Jones, because... I don't like when Darnold threw the 4th interception, which ended up getting negated because of the penalty. I'm like, do you bench him now? Like for Mullins? Like it was just
Bring in Nick Mullins, yes.
Well, yeah, but it was getting to that point, and then that, yeah, and I find, and then when you have those situations where Darnold, clearly KOC doesn't trust him anymore. So then we get down in the red zone and we're doing some weird stuff. That 3rd and 8, I don't know what kind of play call that was, but anyway, when we could ice the game with a touchdown, we just seemed to settle for a field goal. Anyway, I don't know. It was a win's a win, but do they have to be that hard all the time?
I personally wasn't aware you could call face masks on quarterbacks, so learned something new today.
Tyler, welcome to the show. What you see today?
I need a beer. That was
no. You need a lot more stiff than that.
I have several.
That was a really frustrating game for a lot of reasons. Darnold basically threw 5 picks. You could argue that none of them were bad decisions, that they were all just bad or ill-advised throws. Like the one in the end zone that should have been called back, that was poor placement. You could see that Jefferson was open if you lead him just a little bit and don't throw it behind him and low. The corner route to the front pylon, He didn't throw that to the front pylon. He threw that behind Jefferson. You have to throw that where nobody else can get it but your receiver. The one that was called back to penalty, that was a post. You throw that on the inside shoulder like you're supposed to. That's either a catch or Addison knocks it down and it's incomplete. You can't throw it behind him. The tough part with Darnold is he wasn't making bad decisions. He was throwing the ball in poor spots. And I think that's probably my biggest takeaway here. You can't throw those balls in poor spots. You have to put them with good placement, something he's done for the most part this year, but it was not there today. The first interception where he threw it right on Jefferson with that press coverage with Tyson Campbell. When you have a guy that aggressive, why are you calling Jefferson in these 5-yard in routes? Because he can just get mauled, and it's legal because that is legal within 5 yards. You have to be a little bit smarter about your play calling there. I did not like that. I didn't like I think that was the worst decision of the 5 interceptions, to be completely honest with you, because you don't want to force it. It's okay to find somebody else, to find a check down instead of trying to utilize that element of the quick game. But other than that, my biggest takeaway is Blake Cashman is the engine of this defense. What a performance. And yeah, he had the face mask late, but these guys were prepared. They were set. Cashman's ability to act as an edge rusher in stunts and crash and spring guys like Grenard and then get pressure himself. He had that sack at the end of the first half. Why Flores didn't pressure on third down at the end of the first half until the final drive, I don't know. But there was a lot of really good in this game, but we are going to remember it because it's ugly. And there's a saying from one of my favorite college football podcasts. It's called The Solid Verbal. And before this year, if you lost the game, you were pretty much done for a national championship. You have to win your clunkers. This was a clunker, and the Vikings found a way to win. Great teams find a way to win games where you stink. And even though the Vikings didn't stink, they made enough negative plays. 0-5 in the red zone is unacceptable. Absolutely putrid. But they found a way to win because they played really well in defense, and they were able to consistently move the ball on offense. And I think they had more plays in Jaguars territory than the Jaguars had plays today, which is just a bonkers stat.
Yes.
That was
I have a great production capability here as I'm trying to bring everybody back. We welcome Jonas from Germany to the screen. Jonas, what was your thoughts before we get into it? And you're on mute, buddy. For some reason, you're on mute. I have no idea. Try coming back in. Going out, coming back in. But anyways, nothing. Can't hear you. Anyways, I've got to twice. And not Tyler.
Well, I think, listen, as Vikings fans, we are very used to these types of games. However, I can't remember seeing one from Kevin O'Connell, so you guys are going to have to refresh my memory. I feel like it's been so long since we've seen something like this that it's really bothering me more than it would. Normally, we'd go into the game like this and be like, oh, typical Vikings, they're highly favored, they're playing down to their competition, blah, blah, blah. But I feel like with KOC, he hasn't done that. We aren't used to seeing that with him.
But they didn't play down to the competition, really. They had racked up over 400 yards in offense.
Yes, well, true. Yeah.
The defense hardly allowed 2 drives where the Jaguars got over their 50-yard line, but just all these interception. Call a reverse when maybe when handing off was working just fine. Big negative loss. Sack on 3rd and 1. Like just that sort of stuff just happening at the wrong time, just like it did against the Colts most of the last game. And Tyler will say, well, yeah, again, you're picking against the result and not the process, but those are the things that are happening. And I don't know how you fix those things, but the last 2 games, how this offense looked great until it gets to the opponent's 25-yard line, and then things unravel.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing that really resonated to me and kind of the theme of the 2022 season was being situational masters. That 2022 team overperformed what its expectations were, overperformed what its honestly ability was, because they were dominant in situations. They were excellent in like fourth quarter drives to either seal the win or get the win. They were excellent when they needed to be. This team today was great in every other facet except when it needed to be. Cam Bynum got another seemingly game-sealing interception. They kind of got bailed out with that bozo move by Travon Walker at the end. This wasn't a good situational game, but it was a good game. They displayed a really good ball control. They ran the ball effectively. They didn't really bust. I don't think they had a run longer than 10 yards today, but it was consistent 5, 6, 7-yard gains that kept the chains moving. They held onto the ball, I think, for over 40 minutes of this game, and they have 12 points to show for it. It's the lack of situational ability today was the standout, which is very unlike any other Kevin O'Connell game that we've seen so far. So, like, the Jaguars are talented. They aren't good, but when you play teams that have a lot of talent, sometimes you can get their best, and I think we got the best of the Jaguars defense today. They were able to make plays when it mattered, and we weren't. But we still came away with the win because you have to win your clunkers.
My theory on this one was that Ryan Nielsen and the Jags looked at the past couple of games with Darnold, and they were somewhat content to let the Vikings, they weren't going to allow a lot of big plays, chunk plays. They were content to let the Vikings try to, gradually, as Hank Stram used to say, try to matriculate their way down the field. And then they were banking on Darnold doing something dumb and making a bad throw. And it worked.
And to be exact, the Vikings own the time of possession was 42 minutes and 19 seconds to 17:41 for the Jags. Jonas, can we hear you now? No, we can't. Sorry, buddy.
That's got to be some kind of record, right? 42 minutes. I know they said it was the most this season, but
the Vikings are good for setting those kind of records.
Yeah,
no
I'm going to try to look it up.
X until this game.
The most time of possession in a game was the Oilers versus the Cowboys in November of 91. 48 minutes and 34 seconds, which is extra funny because that was the run and shoot. That wasn't a ball control offense. And that was at the beginning of the powers that be when it comes to that Dallas Cowboys dynasty.
Wow.
Tyler with a quick Google search, getting football database to turn that one up.
Hey, I'm a man of many talents. One thing that really stood out to me today, and something that we talked about with
somebody's got their speakers on. Please turn them down.
Yep. One of the big things that I noticed going into the game, David, that might be you.
No, it's Jonas.
Okay.
Which means he's got his mic working. He's just got his speakers turned up.
Okay. Well, one of the big things I noticed going into the game was and we talked about with JP on Wednesday night, was the second level of that Jaguars defense was very inconsistent. Their best cover linebacker is Ventrell Miller, who I got a lot of experience at the University of Florida. He couldn't pass cover worth a damn at Florida, and now he's their best pass cover linebacker. That, to me, that's one of those things that just kind of blows my mind. But he does look in much better shape for Florida. He was a thumper. But they peppered the tight ends. 8 of the first 12 targets were to tight ends. Josh Oliver was one of my standouts of the game. They're using him like the Jaguars wanted to use him when they drafted him in 2019. He was drafted as a pass catcher. He was not a blocker. People thought he was a one-trick pony. Goes to Baltimore. They turn him into a blocker. And now 6 years in, and this is why tight end development is so key, because tight end development is very, very difficult. It's hard to ask these guys to block edge rushers, and then all of a sudden you have to, catch like a wide receiver. So it takes time. And Oliver is being used like TJ Hockenson in these last couple games. And I don't think it's by mistake. I think that they would like to use Oliver in a similar way. So then when they run 12 personnel, they can do a lot of those fun things, and they can still ask Oliver to be a blocker in line and do all of that stuff that he has been doing the last 2 years. But he really has looked comfortable in the passing game. They're using him in more ways in the passing game that they haven't before. And I think this might be Kevin O'Connell's way of continuing to evolve the offense, because if you can dominate in 12 personnel, that is going to give you a significant advantage over most teams that don't have guys like Fred Warner being able to cover on that second level, because you can manipulate linebackers a lot easier than you can manipulate a corner.
When it kind of reminds me of the Jim Kleinsasser, when he initially got to the Vikings as a rookie, they threw to him a fair bit, and he looked just fine that way. But as his career went on, he strictly just became an extra offensive tackle guard, and they rarely threw to him, and he didn't look comfortable catching the ball even when he did, because he never got it. But like Oliver's kind of gone the opposite. He was San Jose State. He caught the ball a lot. Like you said, they make him a blocker in Baltimore, and he just never sees the ball. But he made some very nice catches today, and even in the last game, he looks very, very comfortable catching the ball and showing the hands that he had coming out of college. So, and that's great, because the more guys that we got that can win and be a threat in the passing game, the better.
Absolutely. Because, hey, he was rocking it today, along with TJ.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully,
yeah, how many
TJ,
targets did TJ have?
I don't have that in front of me, but they did target him on 4 consecutive third downs, which ruled. That's why you have Hockenson to be that third down machine. And they peppered those choice routes, and they did a really, really good job in trying to get that all squared away and figured out. According to ESPN, Hockenson was targeted 9 times, 8 catches for 72 yards.
9.0 yard average. Yes.
Hopefully him and
more than that.
Me and Aaron Jones don't feel too sore tomorrow and on Monday after when they get home, because Hockenson took that big hit and it shook him up in the first half. He did get back in the game, and then Jones, of course, took a big hit in the midsection area, made it back for the last drive. But in the adrenaline of the game, they made it back. But will they be able to make it back next week for the Titans game? We'll have to watch that injury report closely.
Yeah. TJ had 9 targets, and Josh Oliver had 6, catching 4 for 52 yards to 13.0. They are the 2 receivers that led the Vikings. Now, JJ had 9 targets, but only caught 5 because Sam Darnold was throwing to opposite uniforms. But now, Tyler, on Sam Darnold, he was just off. His accuracy was off. He did better at the shorter yardage passes, around 10 yards, than he did on the deep passes, 20, 30 yards. Because that's hey, I'm off. If you're off at 10, it's within arm's reach. If you're off at 30, it's sailing over somebody's head, like Addison.
Yeah, that Addison one, I'm going to have to go back and look at the film, because it looked like he couldn't step into it. And a lot of times you will overcompensate with your arm, and that's what ends up causing the sail. So I'm really intrigued to kind of see that one. But it was weird, because he's been hitting these all season, and at the lack of any form of consistency with some of these passes, because the decision making was mostly good. It was how they got to the receivers that was the bad part, and I think that's fixable, especially because you can just, hey, the offensive line gave him plenty of opportunities to throw the ball. I thought his pocket management was great. He was scrambling, trying to pick up yards, knew when to bail. The one 360 to the left scramble didn't end up harming the Vikings this time. They were actually able to get a first down off of that. But if the decision-making is good, I can work with the rest of it, because if you're making bad decisions, I don't care how good the pass is. It's going to be negative more often than not. I thought if you can just kind of tighten things up, which we've seen Darnold be able to do, like I'm not so overly concerned about where we're at with him right now.
Jonas, Are you finally back with us?
Let's hope so.
Yes.
There he is.
Hey.
Let's talk about it, brother. What did you think of the game?
I mean, I would say my technical devices right now have a similar performance as the Vikings did today. It was sloppy all the way, and like there was a point in the game where I really wouldn't have minded if they just would have sat Darnold down, got Mullins in the game, because at that point it was Sam Darnold who single-handedly kept the Jaguars in this game, and it's tough for me to say the offense needs to clean things up, because everybody but Darnold is still good. Like the Vikings have the weapons, the Vikings have solid protection. It's just the QB who doesn't work, and at this point, the Vikings are winning despite Sam Darnold.
It's a heavy
The
take,
last
but
games they have.
I could agree with it.
This was the first time that I genuinely thought if JJ McCarthy was healthy that he would have been put in the game.
Yeah.
I didn't really have that feeling
100%.
against the Colts. I didn't have that feeling against the Rams. I didn't have that against the Lions or any game before that. Here, because he was just off, it just felt like he was having a bad day. I don't think he's a bad player, but he was having a bad day. I think that this was the first time where I would have been like, all right, I think the Vikings are actually going to put in McCarthy.
And if he's going to have a bad day,
You mean Mullins.
better have it now than in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Hey, you know what? Every quarterback has bad days. Like, we've seen Mahomes a couple times this year throw multiple interceptions. Like, it happens. It's how those mistakes happen and how can you fix it. And I think it's easier to fix being a little bit off with some of your ball placement issues than it is to fix decision making, which is why I'm not overly concerned with it throughout the rest of the year. Now, if he goes out and lays a dud next week against Tennessee, I think then I might hit the panic button. But for right now, I think we're in an okay spot. Not great, but okay. If the defense plays like this every week, nobody can touch us. So what does it matter?
Yeah, you're not going to have
Thing
Mac
is-
Jones, Jaguars offense every week, though.
We get Will Levis next week. He's arguably worse.
Yes, that's true. We also get Jared Goff and Jordan Love late season 2, who are not Mac Jones and Will Levis.
Nope.
And the thing, like, where I'm at right now is Darnold started the season pretty hot for his standards. Then he had some games where he was a little off, had some little mistakes here and there peppered in, and it got more and more and more. And right now, the trajectory, in my opinion, just points the wrong way. And I think the mistakes Darnold made today were the same mistakes he made against the Colts, against some other teams where he played, where he didn't have his A game on. It's the same mistakes all over again. And I feel like it's getting worse at this point. And that's what concerns me right now. If this was an isolated game, I wouldn't be concerned. But it's the development and the direction it's heading right now that kind of concerns me, because I think it's kind of similar to what was said earlier, that teams are starting to figure out, let's just limit the Vikings explosives, make them march the field, play after play after play after play. And at some point, Sam Darnold is going to do something stupid, and that's going to cost us. And that's what defenses have figured out. So they're just taking the top away and make sure that Darnold has to work play by play by play. And he hasn't had that kind of consistency all season. He always had those drive killing sacks that he took that he didn't have to take. He had those interceptions all season. And at this point, that's what concerns me right now, because our opponents have figured that out, and the Vikings have no fix for that, because right now Sam Darnold cannot stop doing stupid stuff.
Well, was it because how the defense of the Jaguars played it? They sent pressure on the wide receivers. They hit them at the line of scrimmage, delaying their get-offs, which is something that we don't normally see. And normally, JJ gets beat or beats whoever it is. But it was not only JJ, it was Addison and everybody else. Can every other defense play that way, however? And I would suggest the answer to that is no.
This was
I'm not sure if they
defenses.
Go ahead,
Jonas.
I'm not sure if every other defense can play it that way, but the Jaguars defense isn't good. Like, Jaguars have one of the 6-7 worst defenses in the league. Like, that's not the defense that should be able to do this to our offense with those weapons. If you have a QB who can play with any kind of consistency, they are beating this.
So, and I kind of mentioned this earlier, like, this Jaguars team is bad, but they don't have bad talent. They have really good talent on a lot of areas of this football team. They have two really, really talented edge rushers who are explosive athletes. Travon Walker is one of the best athletes we've seen at the position come out in as many years. You have some talent at linebacker, but they're really struggling pass coverage, which we saw the Vikings really try to exploit with those tight ends early in the game. And then in the secondary, they have some playmakers. Tyson Campbell's one of the best young corners in the game, and he was the one on that first interception to Jefferson that was all over him. With how Ryan Nielsen likes to play, he likes to play man up, cover 2 man, and cover 2. He doesn't really do a whole lot else. He's very, very regimented with how he calls his defenses. But when you play a lot of cover 2, when you play a lot of cover 2 man, what can you do? Be physical at the line of scrimmage. Not every team can do that because a lot of teams run a significant amount of cover 3. They run a significant amount of quarters, and you can't bully at the line of scrimmage when you do that unless you are this elite player where you can drop out after being able to get that jam. Got somebody like a Sauce Gardner or a Pat Surtain or a Jair Alexander. Those guys can do that. Not everybody can. And because of the way they play defense, I think that this is going to be more of a one-off, kind of similar to how the Jets play, because the Jets have 3 corners where you can trust them man on man, play in and play out no matter who they're going up against. Sure, they're going to get beat every now and then by a guy like Justin Jefferson, but they are going to be there and they are going to make your life miserable in the process. And I don't think that a lot of teams are going to be able to run this kind of physicality against the Vikings because of what their scheme is and what they're good at. So I'm not super concerned long term, but there is now a little bit of a trend. If you can get physical with these guys and get them off of their breaks and get them off of their timing, you can take advantage. And that is something to really keep in the back of your head long term. I don't think teams like the Packers can do that. I definitely don't think the Lions can do that. I don't think the 49ers can do that with their cornerback room. But there is now a blueprint to how you can really stifle this offense. Not everybody can accomplish it. Kind of like how the Lions just continue to torch us on offense. Not everybody can do what the Lions do offensively. And I think it's something to be mindful of, but not overly concerned each individual week.
Concur.
I think on the Darnold issue, maybe looking at the bright side, is that, like, we talked about how he targeted TJ Hockenson 4 straight times on 3rd down conversions. Like a few games ago, I was like, why is Darnold trying to go hit the big play on 3rd and short all the time? And I think that was after maybe the Jets game or something like that. But he has been very successful in the shorter passes, like you talked about his stats today, Dave. So he's effective there. And we hadn't seen him try to do that nearly as much as he has lately. So he can get that done, clean up the stuff that he's been doing with the poor decisions. And I think that is something that, again, it should be coachable. And you've got an offense that can really start cracking and humming, not just moving the ball up and down the field, but actually moving the ball up and down the field and scoring as well. But just the last 2 games, it's concerning. Now he's got 10 interceptions. You put that over 17 games, he's well over 20, which is kind of in Jameis Winston territory.
Ooh. It is what it is.
I'm excited to kind of watch some of these interceptions back and try to really pinpoint, because based on replays and first watch, I didn't really have too big of a problem with the process, except for the first one. The first one I had the biggest issue with. It's
You got to remember, there should have been 5, not just 3, but 5.
And you know what? The only reason why one of them wasn't that fourth one, the one that was missed by Cisco, and they didn't mention on the broadcast, mainly because I think Mark Sanchez isn't very good at his job. That ball was tipped. That was why Cisco missed it.
Right.
And
Addison got a hand on it.
I feel like we should expect better from these guys, but I mean, this is kind of the deal.
Let's call it Brian Thomas Jr., Brian Robinson Jr. the whole game.
Right.
I know that was pretty rough, but
now, the first one to Jefferson, where the defender got his arm in there, that was right on Jefferson's numbers. You can't call that he was off target. It's just
it was off target. I wouldn't have thrown that.
Bounce up in that part where they threw that, and you get a tip ball up in the air. There's all kinds of defenders around there. So to me, like Tyler said, Darnold shouldn't be throwing that ball there with that kind of tight coverage. There's something to do. Throw it away, whatever. But what he did was, Campbell had mugged Jefferson. He had a hold of his jersey at one point in time. I guess that's legal. And it got bounced up.
It's legal within 5 yards. That's the thing. If that's a 7-yard in, I don't really have too much of an issue with it, because that's probably called. That route was cut off at 4.5 yards. Guess what? All that mugging, legal. That was my problem with it. If you're gonna call a quick game like that, you got to bring that to 7, because that's going to prevent that mugging from being a legal play, and that's going to cause you significantly less issues.
Silas was dead on in his comment. 3 turnovers in the red zone will make the offense look like it was bad. I feel that the offense had played well, and Darnold just imploded trying to force it to Jefferson. They were both not on the same page.
He was trying to force it. He was trying to force it to Jefferson for sure. Sometimes that's a good thing, but I like not the same teams and everything. But I just kind of wonder. Like, Jefferson had a slow game today, and the Jaguars had a pretty good plan for him. But on Thursday night, we see the Bengals. They don't have T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase is the only guy they're throwing to. They target him 17 times, and they get 11 catches for 2 million yards. So it's kind of like, why can't we dial up stuff for Jefferson to get away from some of these things and get him open? And and I know Baltimore's got a horrible pass defense this year, so again, it's maybe an apples and oranges comparison, but just one of those annoying things after a 12-7 victory that takes us to 7-2 and keeps us in the playoff race firmly and in the divisional title race firmly.
Well, that brings a question. Did KOC make offensive adjustments at halftime?
He didn't have to, really, because in a lot of ways, because we moved the ball up and down the field in the first half, and we did it again in the second half. But when your quarterback is not making the right throws, and what play it was I can't remember what drive was it. I think it might have been the second or third last drive of the second half. Like small little things that become big things. Akers gets a run in the red zone on 1st and 10. He doesn't have much, but he tries to bounce it outside, and he ends up getting a loss of 3 or 4 yards. Then we're behind the chains, and then we get like Robinson is not on the line, and he gets called for illegal formation. Then it's 3rd and whatever. So a lot of little stuff.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Anthony says Jefferson was almost lethargic today, and Sam was off target all afternoon. I don't know if Jefferson was lethargic. I would hate to call him that.
Well, he was.
I wonder how much of that perception was that 3rd down call where they threw the fade to him and it didn't look like Jefferson was running it. because Jefferson just got beat up and the ball sailed way over his head. What do you want him to do? Run for something he has no chance of catching? Like, I don't really have a big issue with that. And obviously, I'm just kind of extrapolating, trying to figure out Anthony's angle and kind of where he got that from. But that was the only instance where I noticed where maybe you could have gotten that impression. But overall, like, he just got his butt whipped by a really good corner in Tyson Campbell. And a lot of the balls that were thrown his way, because he had 9 targets, they were inaccurate for whatever reason. And I don't know, like, I'm just ready to kind of like, hey, you know what? Offense played well. They need to figure out how to execute better, which they have done plenty over the course of this year. Move on and let's go beat the Titans and become 8-2.
Yes.
That's right. And if they do this same thing, the offense performs the same way, except they score points and don't turn the ball over next week, all will be right in the world.
Yeah. Hey, if we go 4-0 in November, it's grand, no matter how ugly it is.
But I share Jonas's concerns about Darnold right now. Like, he had me extremely nervous today every time he dropped back to throw the ball after the first quarter. And I think the way they called things in the last couple of drives when we got in the red zone, KOC was also terrified to have Darnold throw the ball at the end of the game.
Yep. All right. It's time for last words. Jonas, what have you got going on in Deutschland?
We'll see. Probably review coming up either tomorrow or later. So
Remind
we
us,
have to
what's
see.
the name of the podcast?
Purple People Talk.
Outstanding. Last words, Darren?
None. I've said plenty so far.
And Tyler, what are we doing tomorrow?
Tomorrow night show may be at a different time, so please pay attention to communication. We will communicate on the YouTube channel, and I will also communicate on Twitter and likely Facebook. I want to leave you with this because Kirk Cousins ended the game on 4th and 4 against the New Orleans Saints by throwing short of the sticks. Thank you, free agency. I'll also leave you with this. Saints interim head coach Darren Rizzi got his first win in his first game. Told reporters after the game that he clogged the toilet in the coach's locker room this morning and thought, well, quote, this is going to be a crappy day, pun intended, end quote.
With that, what do we say, gentlemen? Jonas?
Skol Vikings, baby. 7-2.
Skol Vikings. And thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and ring the bell. And share this episode with your friends and even your enemies. We'd love it. Thanks for watching Vikings First and Skol. We are part of the Fans First Sports Network, and we appreciate each and every one of you. Skol.